recording at 11:48 a.m. I've never seen anything like this. It's the protest in front of somebody's house.
Your destination is on the left.
Landlord is trying to evict him for non-payment of the rent, so the landlord organized a rally. Biggest problem for a riot in Seattle and Bellevue, figuring out where to park.
What you guys are doing here today is beautiful. To see a protest like this. Unfortunately, this is the only way you get change in Washington State. This is the only way you get change in King County. You have to stand up, scream from the rooftops and say, this is wrong. This is legal people being victimized here, and this is actually really taken away from the American dream. Here you're coming to the United States, you want to buy a house, you want to have a rental property, and you have someone taking advantage of this system. So the only way you get change is to keep being loud. The only way you get change, you do have the legal things you're doing here, thank you for what you're doing, but you got to keep standing up, you got to keep yelling about this, has to keep going. That's the only way you got to. You have to shame the politicians in doing the right thing. Just get that in your brain. Shame them to do the right thing. So please keep it up. Be strong. We're going to help. All we're going to do here is, I promise you, now they know about this, we're going to stick with you to the end. We're going to keep amplifying your voice. When I send out an email out, it goes out to 25,000 people. We'll get the news involved. We're going to keep this thing going. We're going to be with you to the end. Let's keep up the fight. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Steve Fields, President City Council. I'm a Democrat, so I just want there are Democrats here. And
Traitor.
justice is for all of us. So I can't add to anything that was said. I agree with almost everything. But this is a shame. It's a failure of the system. And it's not just the electeds, it's the electeds in the judicial system also.
Yes.
So this is a complete failure of the entire system. It's wrong. I've known Jimmy for years. And of all the people I know on this planet, he deserves the best. So, thank you.
Well said.
Hi guys, Carl Hegling, Fluid Modern Living. I'm a housing provider in Seattle, and it's refreshing to see all of you guys out here. Had this event occurred in Seattle, you guys wouldn't have been here at all. Would have been wrong. But I got to tell you about what it was like in crazy Seattle, where the police have been effectively the cowards. I was brutally beaten 2 years ago. I had a tenant. In 2 years, these two guys, 23 and 24 years old, went to work every day. They only paid us $1,000 in rent in 2 years. We served them with an eviction so they get more free rent. We actually helped them get $25,000 in free rent. They'll $17,000 behind on the rent again. We served him with an eviction. I have to be outside. Guy came down and brutally beat me. 71 years old, 23-year-old man, good-looking, tall buck. Stood over me and just beat me. Police came, lost my tooth, broke my glasses. Police came, knocked on the door, said, well, he's up there, but we got to go. We got another call. And by the way, Carl, he is probably not going to be arrested or prosecuted, and to this day, he has not been arrested or prosecuted for a Class B felony assault, which is a 3-year mandatory minimum sentence in Florida for doing that. And even then, we started the eviction. 5 minutes later, the guy fortunately just moved down. It would have been another 4 months to get him out, 4 to 6 months. Class B felony assault against a 71-year-old man, not arrested, not prosecuted. And we couldn't use that to pick him out.
Sunscreen on.
3.5 years. 7 anti-arrest notices. Arrested for assaulting and battering 3 of them.
Okay. Thank you so much.
3.5 years. $60,000 in attorney fees.
Do you have sunscreen? Do you have one?
Finally got it out. 3.5 years. So guys, you think this is bad? Come to Central Seattle, where the police.
I can't just ask the white people it looks bad. But yeah, we need it more. And you guys need sunscreen?
And they've been effectively depowered.
Do you guys need sunscreen? Did you remember to put some on? Okay.
Which is the Rainier Valley, where we are serving those people for working people.
Do you guys all remember sunscreen? Just put your hand out if you want some. Okay.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate your support. Thank you so much, Carl. Okay, modern living.
Thank you everyone for showing up. This was a thought and for me, and I don't have an option. It's really hard for me to call out the people. I personally thank you everyone showing up. This is fighting against injustice. It's total wrong. I followed each and every legal step, and I'm financial law, and he's threatening me. He's coming to my house, taking the pictures. Look at the guts of this guy. He's filing a lawsuit that I'm harassing him. This is my right. I'll stand here and I'll speak. I'll say, same game, come out. If you are right, come out. He will not come out. They can't come out. The Korean people here standing with me. Come out.
Coward!
Yep.
Coward!
So thank you everyone for showing up, and it's where I don't want my beautiful city like Bellevue to become like Seattle, San Francisco, and Portland. We need to stop it right now. Thank you.
My wife and I own 5 rental units in Seattle and Shoreline, and we try to teach people that in order to provide affordable housing, you got to make it easy to evict people, because then you would take a chance on somebody. If somebody has bad credit, other criminal history, well, if it's easy to get them out, then you'll take the chance on them. Now, you're taking too big of a risk. You got to filter through everybody to get the best client. And my wife has a saying, no pay, no stay. Yeah. That's what I think we should be shouting at this guy. Really?
No pay! No stay! No pay! No stay! No pay! No stay! No pay! No stay!
No pain, no gain.
No pay! No stay! No pay! No stay! No pay! No stay!
No stay.
There's always one. Hello?
Good morning, everyone. I'm here to support this gentleman here. I'm the vice chair of the King County Republican Party, and it's not about any party. It's a bipartisan issue. There's no issue here on anything about party. It's about us citizens working hard to get to the American dream. I was here from a communist country. I started renting. After 10 years, I bought my own house after graduating from college. That's the American dream. After that, I saved up money, worked really hard, 10, 20 hours a day sometimes. But you know what? That afforded me a lot of rental properties. But during the COVID period, 4 of my properties, it's just not happening here in Bellevue. It's all over Washington. Yes. From Everett, Tacoma, Seattle, Kent, Auburn, you name it. 4 of my properties, the tenants were taking advantage of the system of hardworking landlords like us. I let them in with bad credit, with poor credit, because I was in the I know how it is to have issue with your credit, so I never had it. But
Right, their
I
metrics
want to give them a second chance. So all these people, what they did, they got government money, paying their rents for 2 to 3 years during COVID. When that moratorium, rental moratorium lifted, I evicted them. And you know what they did? They destroyed my properties. For 2 years now, it took me over a year to evict each one of them. Hiring an attorney to do it, hiring eviction company to do it. Then I had to force and do it, learn the system and do it myself. And it's, trust me, you don't want to do it. It's a tedious, detailed, over a year process. Everybody think that the tenants are suffering, but no, the landlord. You know what I had to do? I had to work really hard to pay for all these mortgages so that I would not be behind and foreclose on. Right now, after 2 years, I put in a couple $100,000s to remodel these properties and still added. And you know what? There's one in the city. If you want to protest next week, go to my property on MLK. You can see that property. They condemn my property. They put a fine every month, $500. They got homeless going in, living there, cutting all the electrical wires. The stories are endless. I'm sure many of you here are landlords, you know. So speak up, stand up, and support these landlords. Because we work hard for our money. These are the money taken out of our children. These are the money we spend hours to be able to afford these properties, to rent, to help these people out. And they don't appreciate this. This is not the American way. This is not the way you get the American dream, is go and live in somebody's houses for free. So please, everyone, do not stop. Raise your voice and stand up. This is one of many issues we are facing right now. At school as well, everywhere. I am from a communist country. I know how it is. Once they set over one issue, they will take over another, then on, it seems they will control your life. So don't let it get there. Thank you. Any other landlords have? Yes, Kory.
We can't legally put this sign here, obviously.
Hey, my name's Kory Hahn. I am Korean.
You can't put it in his yard. It has to be on public property. You can't put it in his yard.
Property police? Someone has a better resolution.
Well, I'm surprised they're not here, honestly. I mean, either you're on the side of the law or you're not. If you're on the side of the law, you can't take a protest sign and stick it in his yard. I don't know what I'm clapping for.
So ashamed, not only move out of this place, but move out of state. How's that? What he means is no pay, no stay. No pay, no stay. No stay. No stay. 사기꾼 means con man. 사기꾼, say with me. 사기꾼. 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 There you go.
Yeah, what he said. I don't know Korean.
Oh, he said no pay, no stay.
Oh, I know the English. I know it. Oh, okay.
I started this, I guess I'll wait. I was a resident on the Seattle side for about 20 years. Ended up getting engaged out, lived in Bellevue, thank God. We got married. We had to make a decision on whether to live in Seattle and Bellevue, and yes, which city won. That was, several years ago. A lot of things have changed now, and not for the better. So I thank all the speakers and landlords. I'm also a landlord. I actually converted my house that I owned in Seattle to a rental for a number of years when we were first married. And that was an interesting scenario. Luckily, my wife and I had the foresight or the forethought to see what was coming politically and legally in the world of land and property ownership. And we ended up selling my house and did a 1031 exchange and bought 6 properties in the Midwest where we are still landlords. Because we saw what was coming down with the barriers that landlords have here locally, and we didn't want any part of it. Further to that point, now we're looking at other things that people have referenced as well, not only in property, but just in politics in general and what's happening here in Bellevue. And maybe the next decision is, maybe my family is going to move to the Midwest because we don't like what's happening here. And I'm sure a lot of people support that as well. So, standing out on kind of a limb, but this, as you alluded to, is only one of many issues that voters here need to be thinking about come November for local, city, your churches to really spread the word on the way society is going, is not the track that most of us would agree is something that we want to be part of. So thank you again. Does anyone else want to speak? If not, thank you for your time and spread the word.
Thank you. Nice job. Oh, good. All set. Right there. Well, the thing of it is, in class. Likewise, I'm real
Oh, she does? Yeah.
I just love it. When life and road gets on.
It's good. So, my friend, I wish all of his and my friend actually does the
Can we have the mic, please? Who has the mic?
Right here. Okay, you don't need one. Good. You're free. Let's walk from that side. Everyone. This is that he is.
Hi, you said you were the King County Republicans, right?
Yes, sir. I'm the chairman.
You're the chairman of the King County Republicans?
Yeah, Matthew Patrick Thomas. Yep.
Okay. I was trying to figure out about this gathering. Separately from the eviction issue, I don't understand why this is not a violation of Washington's doxxing law.
Yeah, I don't know about the doxxing law. This is his own property.
Right. It says that the doxxing includes publication of individuals' personal information with the intent to cause either mental anguish or substantial life disruption. And here, that seems obviously to meet that criteria because we're literally having a rally in front of the guy's house. And personal information includes somebody's name and address. So I don't understand how this is not a straightforward violation of that.
Okay. Well, you don't understand that then. Thank you.
Okay. Well, would you care to explain why it's not a violation of the doxxing law? Why do you think it's not a violation of the doxxing law? They published the guy's name and address in order to have a rally in front of his house. Why is that not doxxing?
Actually, I'm not an expert on that, so I'm not going to comment on it. Thank you.
Well, I mean, what do you think is a reasonable interpretation of this? It says anything that's intended to cause mental anguish or or substantial life description. I know that he's trying to get the guy evicted, but I want to know why do you not consider this to be, what's your name? Would you like to, you can answer. Don't touch me, don't touch my phone.
I'm just asking you not to record my phone. I'm asking you not to record my phone.
No, you're at a public place, don't touch me, don't touch my phone. Do not touch me, do not touch my phone. Do not touch me, do not touch my phone. Do not touch me, do not touch my phone. Okay, we're still recording. The question is, why do you think this is not, don't touch me. The question is, why is this not a violation of the anti-doxxing law? Listen, if you have an answer, you can tell me. Stop touching me. But I want to know why.
Take the mic and talk and say, how do you feel about the squatting? Go.
I mean, if somebody will give it to me, I will. Stop touching me. Stop touching me.
Sorry. Things that we've always taught our children to take responsibility for themselves.
Okay. I'm just going to read it to you. It says, doxing includes publishing a name or address with the intention of causing mental anguish or substantial life disruption. There's no reason. You do not need permission to film somebody. My name is Bennett Hazelton. You do not need permission to film somebody if you've told them that you're recording. You can see the camera. I'm not recording secretly. The question is, the doxing law prohibits publishing name and address with the intention of causing mental anguish or substantial life description.
Keep moving, I'm trying to watch.
So why do you think this does not meet the criteria for that? Stop touching me.
I'm not touching you. I'm trying to watch.
Stop touching me.
You're in my way.
You're in my. What are you are taller than me. You can see.
Take responsibility for their actions and not try to squatter people's properties that have worked so hard for the things that they have. Let's show our children.
I'm guessing you're against this, right?
Well, I want to know what. I'm not against landlord protections generally. What I want to know is
what I'm saying.
Okay.
I am supportive
All right.
of.
My GoPro's on top.
This is I'm supportive of event sites there, okay? But the problem is when these issues come in, that gives forward to the other side there.
I understand. You know my camera's on, right?
I'm saying is that the forward comes gives to the other person and all that. So that's where I think it has to be a balance a little bit here.
Yeah, but I'm not really asking about the landlord-tenants rights balance. I want to know why people think that this is not a violation of the doxing law, because they could have just as easily had this rally in a park. There's no reason to have it in front of his house, and that's why I think it's obviously intended to disrupt the life of the person living there, and that's what makes it a doxing law violation.
So basically, wherever the incident is happening is only when they want to do it close to them. It's not about harassing anyone. It's just being close to that point.
This is about harassing the person. They obviously knew that people would yell at him, and that's what they did. Here, I didn't mean to record this on my phone.
Let's go and do a protest consent process. It doesn't matter. It has to be close to where it's happening.
Not necessarily. What does it achieve? What does it achieve by having? You could have it in a park that's 3 blocks away. That's still close, but it does not give people enough information to find the guy's house.
Here you can actually picture that what's happening with justice.
Not in good not in good race. Him can come out. Come out.
We got your back.
Yeah.
You got his back, do you?
We want justice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always okay. Well, you tell me then. What?
What's going on?
All right, phone's on.
Yeah.
Well, what I was asking is, why do people think this is not a violation of the Washington anti-doxxing law? The Washington anti-doxxing law says you're not allowed to publish name and address with the intention of causing mental anguish or substantial life disruption.
I have no idea.
I think that's obviously what they're trying to do here.
Landlord.
Yeah.
And the guy renting is not his property, so.
All the way, all the world, I have a support from Korean, I have support from German, I have support from Indian people. I have support for everyone. Come out. I'll fight in the court. I'll come out and tell us your story. What's your problem? Why it happened to previous landlords? What are you doing it? Why Housing Justice Project? 35 lawyers. I'm fighting alone. You have 35 lawyers. Our taxpayers' money. Come out. Tell us. What's wrong? Come to your point. What's your story? Can neighbors walk with me?
Yeah. Yes.
We want justice.
You have to tell us the second part. I've done this a million times. You have to.
Oh my God, buddy! Shut the fuck up, please. Do not want to hear.
I asked him why this is not a violation of the Washington anti-doxxing law.
What you have to say? Talk to someone else.
Do you have an answer? I mean, I'll talk to anybody who thinks they have an answer. The GoPro's on. But the Washington anti-doxxing law says you're not allowed to publish a person's name and address with the intention of causing substantial life disruption or mental anguish.
These are justice, not in portrait.
The thing is, they keep saying, oh, you know, we're invoking the law, the law, the law.
Get out, con man!
But it seems you either you believe in following the law or you don't.
Get out, con man!
If you're invoking the law, then you have to rely on the entire law. And this says that you can't publish somebody's name and address in order to incite harassment against them. If you wanted to have a political rally, you could have just as easily had it at a park in the same neighborhood. There's no additional political benefit to having it outside the guy's house. The only purpose of doing that is obviously to encourage people to yell at him from the sidewalk or otherwise bother him.
Please stay on the sidewalk.
Well, I'm gonna see if I can find the other lady from the Republican Party. Is she up here? Where'd Choe go? Well, actually, I have to go find Jonathan Choe. Just stay. See you on the flip side.
Yeah.
I don't know if he is. Go ask him.
Oh, are you the family with Mr. Jackson?
I know.
Oh.
No, I saw the news and I had to make sure I
Then they went back to India.
Are you all from the news?
Channel 4.
Okay. I mean, I came here to ask some people some questions about why they think the event is not a violation of the Washington anti-doxxing law. And people just sort of like got in fights with me and started grabbing my phone and trying to pull it away.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Okay. But I mean, I'll show it to you if you're interested in, I mean, if you're covering the event, this does seem relevant. Because, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but it looks like it is a violation of the anti-doxxing law. Do you want to see it?
I'm not talking to anyone, just getting B-roll.
Oh, who's the... You're not interviewing anybody? Okay.
No, I'm just getting B-roll.
Is there somebody here interviewing people?
No, it's just me.
Oh, okay.
They
Is that...
story yesterday.
Okay. Is that normal that they'd send somebody just to get, like, video, but not to actually, not a reporter to, like... Okay, all right. Well, that's not uncommon. Okay. I was looking for the woman who was with the King County Republican Party. I wanted to ask her about this.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
I wanted to make sure though that nobody, like any of the people didn't get in trouble with the police because I'm like, we can set up a whole thing for the...
Yeah, that was not really nice.
Well, they had somebody's sign leaning up against that bush, and I went in and moved it, because that's the kind of thing you can get in trouble for if they went up on the property. So hard to find parking for a riot in this city, am I right? actually. Well,
I tried every legal possible way. Crazy, it's crazy.
sir, I
We
want.
want justice. We want justice. We want justice.
I want
not
to-
in Fordridge, not in Bellevue.
I want to ask you too while I'm here. I don't understand how this event is not a violation of the Washington anti-doxxing law.
I'm not a lawyer, man.
Because it says you're not allowed. You are not allowed to publish a name and address with the purpose of causing substantial life disruption or mental anguish.
Hey, you're on that guy's property, man.
Of course we ought to do it. The Washington anti-doxxing law says that you're not allowed.
We don't care
to,
what you say.
Well, it seems to me. Look, you guys keep talking about the law, the law, the law, the law, and saying how the law is on my side. But it seems you're either you believe in following the law or you don't. If you believe in following the law, then you have to follow the anti-doxxing law.
So you could be out here and say your words, but I'm going to direct you to go on the other side of the street.
I'm allowed to be here and film him. He's filming them too.
Where you say, where
No,
you
I have a body cam. I can prove I didn't do anything wrong, but I want to ask the people questions about. I want to ask the organizer why he does.
You are ruining my state. You are ruining this city. You are ruining everything.
The question is, why do you think this is not a violation of the anti-doxxing law?
Ask that question to that guy. Ask him the question. Ask him the same question.
That's not the question. The question is, why is this not a violation of the anti-doxxing law?
Why that's not a violation?
RCW 4.24.792 says you are not allowed to publish a name and address with the purpose of causing substantial life disruption or mental anguish.
How many laws has he broken?
I don't know.
How many laws?
That's not
Well,
the question.
you're talking laws.
Don't touch me.
I'm not touching you.
You're closer than you need to be. Listen, I'm not talking any louder than I need to in order to be heard over people. But I think this is a legitimate question pertaining to the political purpose of this rally. The question is, why is this not a violation of RCW 4.24.792?
Can I just talk to you?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
right.
my camera's on. You can see that.
Yeah.
Yours is probably on too.
I want you to have freedom of speech and be able to express yourself, okay? But I just want you to do it from the other side of the street, separate from these guys, so they can have their word and you can have your word as well.
But I want to ask them a question about why they think this is not illegal
We're not going to be
event.
asking questions and doing that, okay?
He's allowed to refuse to talk to me, but I do not.
You want to talk to him, sir?
Okay.
I don't.
So he's expressed to me that he does not want to talk to you, and this is unwanted
the other person in the crowd was engaging with me.
Okay, well, they don't want to talk to you.
Okay, the organizer of the rally, he doesn't have to answer, but I'm allowed to say things
and
to.
I'm allowed to dictate.
I'm allowed to say
where
that
you
I
do your
believe this
protest,
is illegal.
And I'm asking you to separate from their side of the protest and get your word on the other side of the street, so you guys can stay separate.
I do not have to move away from a political rally because they want me to. Listen, Jonathan Choe does it all the time. Okay.
I'm asking you a question.
Police sucks, man.
Wow.
Yeah, police.
You guys can do your protest on public street. That's a lot of right now what I did. All I'm trying to do is okay, I'm just trying to fix this, man. Okay? That's all I'm trying to do. Okay?
It's interesting.
Is that guy the person that pays the property tax on
Myself. Mostly I had a question about why they think this is not a violation of the anti-doxxing law, because RCW 4.24.792 prohibits publishing somebody's name and address with the purpose of causing substantial life disruption or mental anguish. If they want to have a political event, they could have just as easily had it at a park 3 blocks away from his house without giving away his address. And it seems the purpose of having it at the house is obviously not, there's no political purpose for that, it's just to enable harassment. And this obviously is a pretty good example of that, where people just ran up and onto the door.
Who gives a fuck about harassing him? The guy is a loser. He's like just squatting in somebody's house.
Well, then you have to use the process to deal with that. You're not allowed to trespass on his house. You're not allowed to leave signs on his yard.
And our broken justice system in Washington State has
I understand what he's talked about, that the guy's not paying and they're trying to kick him out. But you can't do it by vigilante justice like this. You can't. Yes, he said that the guy's renting and he stopped. He's renting and he's okay. He was renting and he stopped paying. That does not give people the right to organize a mob outside of his house. That's doxing. It is doxing. It's publishing the person's name and address with the intent of calling
Anywhere. It took me forever to find out how to get
well, that's the whole point. It's supposed to be hard to find until the rally organizers published it. Listen.
Nobody cares.
Listen, this is not meant to be confrontational, but you know that I'm right about this. RCW 42.792 says you're not allowed to publish name and address with the intent of causing mental anguish or substantial life disruption. And there's no exception to that. There's no exception to that if you believe that the other person's doing something wrong. There's no exception to that if you believe the other person's doing something wrong. If you wanted to have a political rally, you could have had it at a park 3 blocks from his house. That would have been fine.
It's not a political
Well, if you're saying it's not a political rally, that's even worse because it's obviously just a gathering to harass the person. What's the King County Republican chair doing here then?
It's not, and so is the Democratic. It's not a political rally.
There was a Democratic speaker too.
It's not a political rally.
So if somebody shows
it's our
up,
community.
it's not a, it's not the organizers.
Stop bullying us.
But there was no benefit to having it in front of the guy's house instead of at a park. If you choose to have it in front of his house, that's obviously
this is not the guy's house.
That's not the question.
It's the correct owner.
It doesn't change if you're a renter. When the law says don't publish the person's name and address, when the law says don't publish the person's name and address, that obviously refers to their residence. It doesn't mean if the person's renting or owning or not. Well, I wanted to come here and ask, why do people think that's not a violation of the doxing law? Look, if you can tell me, I will not interrupt you. If you believe that this is not a violation of the doxing law, I want to know why. But it seems you either believe in the law or you don't. If you keep saying that's not the question. It seems you guys either believe in the rule of law or you don't. And if you do, then you have to follow this one too, which says that you can't publish somebody's name and address in order to cause substantial life disruption.
I don't think we
Law
can.
is not a one-way road.
Okay.
He needs to go, and he needs to go now.
You said that if you want to follow the law,
I didn't say
then
that. You said that.
Are you guys invoking the law as why you want this person gone? You keep saying he's squatting. It's illegal. It's trespassing. You are pretty clearly invoking the law. But I'm saying if you want to follow the law, you have to follow all of it.
You might want to stop talking and listen to other people talk too.
I did listen. I arrived here and I didn't talk and I watched the people make their speeches. I listened plenty. But that's not what I'm asking about. The question is, why is this not a violation of the anti-doxing law?
I said Jaskaran has followed the law. He has paid through his nose. He's getting free legal representation and the law hasn't helped him.
Okay, I believe he is following the law with regard to the eviction process. The problem is that I don't think he's following the anti-doxing law. The anti-doxing law says you're not allowed to publish a person's name and address with the purpose of causing substantial life disruption or mental anguish.
Talk about the injustice happening to Jaskaran. What else does it? What else can
that's
he
a
do?
that's a separate issue. That is a separate issue.
He's just here for views for his YouTube channel.
I do not have.
Why is he
just ignore this loser? Just ignore this loser.
Okay, but you know I'm right about this.
Get out of here if you don't want to support us.
The law says you are not allowed to publish a person's name and address for the purpose of causing
Nobody gives a shit.
Well, you should care what the law is. You should care what the law is.
What are you saying right now, all right?
I mean, what if the tables are turned one day? What if somebody has a legal dispute with you and they publish your name and address and the people gather outside your house? Yes.
Good job on being a loser.
That's what I do.
Hey, you
Your
should
name.
leave.
Okay. I'm glad I stopped talking to hear that. See, I let them speak. Listen, this is a political event. Two people can talk to each other.
He doesn't exist. Okay?
Oh shit, what happened? No, still here. Listen, I'm saying that either you believe...
White guilt.
A dispute between an Indian and a Korean? Are you kidding?
White guilt. You guys are all the same.
And what about that sign saying, like, Dirty Kim Sang? Nobody thought to take that one down? People can put it up, but somebody else is allowed to grab it.
His behavior is dirty. Call it like it is.
That's not what the adjective dirty usually is interpreted to mean. White people put it in front of a minority's house.
I don't even know if you've gone to school, man. So you don't fucking loser. Get out of here.
I think that this event is a violation of the doxing law.
Shut up.
Well, if you think I'm wrong, you can tell me why. The law says you're not allowed to publish name and address with the purpose of causing substantial life disruption or mental anguish. In this case, he published the guy's address literally with the intent of causing a gathering outside his house where people are yelling at him from the sidewalk, and some people left signs illegally on his lawn, and one group went up and banged on his door. Okay. I have to go tell the cops.
Okay, now that we're here.
Okay, the person who went onto his lawn to put that sign there was trespassing. I'm going there to remove it and move it back to the sidewalk. That's not against the law. Well, I'm telling you that I'm doing that so you don't think I'm going to go bang on the guy's door or anything.
I used to for my cats to be able to go.
Definitely do it.
You cannot put it on his yard. You can put it on public property like the sidewalk. You cannot put it on the yard where he's renting.
Are you representing police?
You're trespassing.
Are you representing police?
I told them that I'm
Go
not
out of the property. Go out of the property right now.
I told them they can't.
Go and trespass.
That's his prerogative. You can't legally put the sign on his yard. I went there to retrieve it and move it onto the sidewalk. You can't put the sign on his yard.
Trespass other people's property. You get that? You get that?
He's asking not to.
You're now enticing this peaceful protest.
Thank you.
Okay, this is peaceful, and you're inciting it.
I'm not raising my voice. I'm not raising my voice. I have footage of everything. I'm not raising my voice. I asked people why they believe this is not a violation of the anti-doxxing law, and when they trespassed to put a sign on his yard, I went to remove the sign to move it back here because this is public property.
You don't have a right.
If all I'm asking you to do is not to cause a problem here at this peaceful protest.
Okay, but I'm allowed to speak at this volume, but I'm allowed to ask people why they think this is not a violation of the anti-doxxing law.
You think it's not a violation of the
What?
Do you live here?
No.
Please don't go on the property.
What about? Okay, but not to retrieve that sign that somebody else placed there illegally. Somebody else. It's not. It's also not your choice. It's the property owner who is allowed to tell me that I can't go move the sign.
Do you own the house? Do you own the house?
It doesn't matter.
You can't buy it. You liberal cool around here.
If the renter,
talk to him, he's the property owner.
If the renter says he wants to prosecute me for going to get the sign,
who are you?
If the renter wants to prosecute me,
are you
for
a squatter
well,
too?
it doesn't matter whether he's
Yeah, it does matter. It does matter.
He's no longer a renter. He's not a lease.
But
he's not a renter.
It's his prerogative if he wants to say that I'm trespassing. I go to grab that
What is
sign.
your problem, man?
He's not guilty of trespassing.
Do you own a house? Are you a landlord?
House him in your apartment or your house or your car or whatever.
That has nothing.
Yeah, you ain't shit, man. Get off this property.
Get a U-Haul and take him with you.
I'm telling
People like you is why Washington State is the way it is. I support idiots like you.
You already violated your law by going in.
This is a violation of the Washington anti-doxxing law because you're not allowed to publish
a piece of shit.
You're not allowed to publish a person's.
You are a piece of shit.
It doesn't matter if it's not violent. It's still intended to cause disruption to the person living in the house. If it's intended to cause substantial life disruption to the person living in the house, then it's a violation of the anti-doxxing law. RCW 4.24.792 says you're not allowed to publish name and address if it's intended to cause mental anguish or substantial life disruption. You could have had a political rally at the park 3 blocks from his house. It would have, well, you could have, whatever you call this. But you could have done it at a public park 3 blocks from his house. It would have been safer too because it wouldn't have been in the roads. But by having it at his house, you astronomically increases the places where he was renting. It doesn't matter. By having it where he was renting, you astronomically increase the chances of a conflict happening.
How is he supposed to have anyone come here to protest the illegal injustices?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you wanted to have a protest, you could have it at, look, forget, you're distracted by the fact that it's coming from me and you think, I mean, this guy start yelling at people. This would have been a good idea to have it at the park. You just have the protest at the park instead of having it in front of his house.
It's like any other protest in the park and nothing happens.
Because then you're not causing a disruption to this person's life or making them feel like they're in danger. Okay, it doesn't matter. You're not allowed to publish name and address for the purpose of causing substantial life disruption or mental anguish. That's obviously what this was intended to do, because he could have done the same thing by having it at a park near his house, but not actually at his house. By organizing it.
Regular question. So if there's a Facebook group with an address where there's a gathering, that's considered doxing? Facebook groups have hundreds, if not thousands, of addresses on there, where to meet, where to rally. How is that any different from doing that right here?
Because this law applies to publishing a person's personally identifiable information. It doesn't apply to publishing the street address of a public place.
No, people meet at people's places all the time. I can send you dozens of Facebook posts with people's home addresses for Super Bowl parties. How is that any different from this?
That is not.
I've been to hundreds of Super Bowl parties, okay? Dozens, rather.
That is with the consent of the person living in that house. It's not intended to cause mental anguish or substantial life disruption.
Have you found out whether or not he consents?
The
Have you been able to find out
law,
either way? Bennett, have you found out either way if he's consented or not? Why don't you ask him?
I think it's reasonable to infer that he did.
Bennett,
I think it's reasonable to infer that he did not consent to this.
You're making an assumption, Bennett.
Yes, I'm making the assumption that he did not organize this rally. He threatened to call the police on you for knocking on his door.
No, actually, he did, and they didn't show up. The fact the police didn't show up is stunning, isn't it?
Pan your camera around that way. They're here.
They're here for pushing everyone to the sidewalk. They didn't want people to get hit.
Well, I don't know if he called the police, but he did not. I'm positive he did not consent to the. Is that really your defense?
Positive, or you won't actually find out for a fact?
Are you telling me that you think he consented to have this gathering?
I don't know. Let's go find out.
House?
Should we go and find out?
If you step
Instead
on
of making assumptions, let's go with the facts and actually interview him. Bennett.
He did not agree to have this gathering in front of his house.
You're now his attorney. You're going to represent him. Let's go find out.
I'm positive that he did not agree to have this gathering in front of his house.
Let's go find out. That's the only issue I have, Bennett, with you. Say whatever you want. Let's go find out when you're saying he did not consent.
They are not going to let us walk up there.
Okay, then we can't make that assumption. Come here next weekend.
Yes, we can. We can assume that he did not agree to have this gathering in front of where he's living.
Okay. Well,
okay. But the law says prohibiting publishing name and address.
Why don't we
that is reasonable to interpret that
on his behalf? Get a public defender and sue on his behalf.
You can't
sue all the people.
You can't sue for a violation of a criminal law.
And at the end of the day, who's going to enforce that? Bennett, who's going to enforce it?
You can request for the police to enforce a criminal law.
Why don't you ask them?
That's part of the problem. A private citizen cannot generally force the police to enforce a criminal law.
So the police are not enforcing the law on the books. Welcome to Washington, Bennett. Where laws on the books where police don't enforce. Everyone knows Washington.
But that's what I'm saying. It's hypocritical to say that you want some laws to be enforced but not others.
Do you realize that in Bellevue that the pro-Hamas supporters took over downtown and none of them have been charged?
If you want to invoke the law,
do you realize that?
If you want to invoke the law,
police have not blocked an entire city street. Where were you for that rally?
I was there,
Where were you for
remember?
that rally? Yeah. Why aren't you calling out the pro-Hamas supporters?
They're not pro-Hamas supporters.
Okay.
They're pro-Palestine supporters.
Guy doesn't know.
If you believe in the law, then you should believe in all of it. And the law says you're not allowed to publish somebody's name and address.
Why aren't you standing with the pro-Hamas supporters and calling them to be prosecuted?
Because there are no pro-Hamas supporters, and
what
they're not
about all
doing
the people that
illegal.
block traffic in downtown Bellevue? Why aren't you calling for them to be prosecuted?
The consensus is that if you're using a public street for a public protest, Seattle Municipal Code 12A.12.015.4.
Then I'm with you, Ben.
Seattle Municipal Code 12A.12.015.4 says that you are allowed to march in the street.
We're in Bellevue,
yes,
Bennett.
and we were briefly blocking the street, and then we weren't. The question is, if you're
Bennett Hazelton!
Louder! Okay, listen. Either you believe in the law or you don't.
Right. So why
if you
aren't
believe
you calling
in the
for
law,
the prosecution of pro-Hamas supporters?
There are no pro-Hamas
downtown
supporters.
Bellevue. It happened 3 weeks ago. I have it on video.
It's not illegal for them to block in the street.
No pay, no stay. He should not get the attention. We are here for a different purpose, not for him getting attention.
No
pay, no stay. No pay, no stay. No pay, no stay.
No docs, suck my cock. No docs, suck my cock.
No pay, no stay. 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 pay. He does not need the attention here that he's getting. Please stop giving him attention. No
Okay,
pay,
I'm
no
telling
pay,
you that the
no
anti-doxing
pay,
law
no pay,
12 or 4.24.792 says you are not allowed to publish a person's address for the purpose of causing substantial life disruption or mental anguish.
Are you a police officer, sir?
I can't enforce the law.
Enforce the law.
I can't
Why are you
enforce
telling
it.
these people? Tell the police.
A private
These are
citizen cannot
neighbors.
force them to enforce the law.
Private citizens can't do anything. Ask the police.
I'm not invoking
Ask
it
the
in order
police
to make.
enforce the law,
I'm not
bro. Who are you
invoking it in
talking
order
to?
to make a citizen's arrest or anything like that. I'm invoking it to point out that people are being hypocritical because you selectively want one part of the law
Right, so
enforced,
you won't
but you're
ask
flagrantly
the
violating a different part of the law.
pro-Hamas supporters who
Okay,
again
there are no
block
pro-Hamas
the
supporters.
downtown Bellevue.
You're blocking your guy's video. He's on your
Don't
side,
worry.
and you're messing up his shot.
Bennett, I'll see you at the hood, okay?
All right, the hood. You live down the street from me in Bellevue. I know him.
You're not hiding that sweater?
What? Yes.
You don't need to record me. I'm not gonna jump you.
That's okay. Well, I have the GoPro on, so I don't need to use
What's
up
your
anymore.
purpose here? I just
Okay.
wanna know. I just live there. That's
My purpose was to come here and ask people why they believe that this is not a violation of the Washington anti-doxing law. The fact that people have gotten so agitated to this point, it's distracting from the fact that this is a legitimate question. The law says you're not allowed to publish name and address for the purpose of causing substantial life disruption or mental anguish to a person. That's obviously what this was intended to do because it caused
mental disruption.
it doesn't. That's a separate issue. They can.
So it's a separate issue.
Yes,
How
it is
about
a
yours
separate issue. The question is why they think that this is not a violation of the Washington anti-doxing law. So, do you, to be clear, do you think that it's not Soros? Obviously. No. Do you think that?
If you want to talk smart ass.
No, I have a regular job. Nobody's paying me to be here.
What's your regular job?
I wanted to come here and ask why do people believe that this is not a violation of the anti-doxing law?
Let them stay.
I think this is a legitimate question. Why do people think it's not a violation of the anti-doxing law?
No, I want to know who pays you. That's all.
Do you believe that it's a violation of the
Yes,
anti-doxing
I do.
law?
Yeah,
That it's of the
do.
anti-doxing law?
Yeah.
To be clear,
Yeah.
I'm saying that the person who organized this protest was violating the anti-doxing law by publishing his name and address. Okay.
I don't think. I mean, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's his house. He can poop in.
Well, but that's the thing. I don't think there's an exception because when you talk about publishing a name and address, the most reasonable interpretation of that is the renter who actually lives there. There's no exemption to the anti-doxing law because you legally own the property and somebody's renting from you. Sure.
Why can't you?
My camera's still on, you know that. I mean, you can film me if you want.
So why can't you live here without paying rent?
I'm saying that's a separate issue. There's a process for dealing with that. Gathering this mob outside his house, there's no reason to think that that's going to speed it up.
So you're here because you want to block people from...
I'm not entirely against the landlord side of this. I think there's a legitimate issue that if somebody's not paying, there should be a way to evict them. My issue with this is they're trying.
Working, and so he's at rope's end. He's frustrated because the system is not working.
But there's no exemption to the anti-doxing law where you just make a mob in front of somebody's house because the eviction process isn't working.
You're right.
What he probably should have said is, okay, the court docket is full. There's a 600 case backlog. Why don't we do this? Those judges who stop working at 4:30, they would come in at 8 o'clock at night if we offer them an extra $500. So I'll pay the $500 to get in.
So I'm in agreement with you.
Okay.
So you don't need to change my mind.
Okay.
But what? So like, Emily, if this were me, it would destroy me. I cannot afford
the renter or the owner.
The owner. I cannot afford to pay 2 mortgages without income coming in. So at some point, there's desperation.
I understand.
And so the system is not working. The system is not working.
But aren't there evictions all the time? Why does this one get its own rally? I mean, does anybody? I've never got around to asking people that. There was 10 people evicted today, probably. Why only?
This guy's been in the house long after he's gotten papers saying he needed to move.
But surely there are other situations like that in or around Seattle. Why is this one getting a rally?
I can't answer.
I'm not paid. I am what people are most worried about. I am an actual idealist, which means people can't figure me out because they think I have to have some incentive.
Sweater thing?
No, I live in it. Well, I'm not disclosing anything else about where I live because apparently there's going to be a mob there. If I say anything else, there's going to be a mob outside my house. But what I want to know is,
so you don't want this happen to you, but
do people
okay
think
happen to those people here?
I'm not okay with it happening to him. That's why I'm saying that there shouldn't be a mob gathered out.
Happening to you.
I'm not okay with a mob gathering outside his house. That's why I'm saying that they should enforce the anti-doxxing. It's the house where he's living. The anti-doxxing law says you can't publish name and address with the purpose of inciting harassment. That's the most reasonable interpretation of that. Means that you can't. It means that it refers to the person living there, not the legal owner of the property. There's no exemption from that if you're renting, and there's no exemption from that if you're behind in your rent and if you're in the eviction process. There's no exemption to any of that in the anti-doxxing law. You still can't publish somebody's address for the purpose of getting a mob together outside their house.
You can sell tacos if you want. It doesn't matter.
I don't think that's.
Yes.
I could sell tacos on this. I could sell tacos on the sidewalk. I doubt.
Yes, yes,
yes,
you can.
I mean, you could for like 10 minutes, but not much more than that. Because people have gotten all confrontational about this. I think this is a legitimate question. The law says you're not allowed to publish name and address for the purpose of causing substantial life disruption.
This is
why,
not life disruption.
Why do they think
How do you get to the point that it is?
Because it's literally a mob gathering outside of his house.
I'm a mob.
Not by yourself.
Those kids are
if it had just been you. Yes,
So
every additional person contributes to the crowd size. Every additional person contributes to the crowd size.
You're a knob and a mob.
Okay, that wasn't bad. Future dad right here. You've got the makings. You've got the makings.
Okay.
Maybe current. I don't know. But the point is that there's no exception to that just because of the eviction process. I understand that the guy is going through a hard financial time because he can't evict the guy.
Why won't you
but
take
there's
him
no
home?
there's no exemption
Why
for
won't
that.
you take him home then?
Well, honestly, the house he's living in is bigger. But the
It's not his house, so he should buy because, you know.
I'm just telling you that I think that the text of the law says this is obviously a violation of the anti-doxxing law.
House, so how is
It
whatever you think doesn't matter.
It doesn't change the anti-doxxing law. Look, sometimes the police don't. Sometimes the police and the eviction courts don't enforce laws that you want them to. But it doesn't mean you can break the law and start a gathering in front of his house. Well, what's the counter argument?
We're not a mob.
Then we're doing number 31. You can't.
Hey, this is a walkway, a street, all right? Nobody's there, so why are you still talking?
It's not the act of gathering here. He published the person's address in order to cause a life disruption and/or mental anguish.
And this is a walkway.
It doesn't matter if we were walking, if we were using it that way and not bothering the guy, that'd be one thing. But he had the gathering take place here.
Who pays you?
I've told you that before. Here because I want to be. He had the gathering here, obviously knowing that there was a chance that people would yell at him from the sidewalk, would trespass on his property to go put signs on his property, which they did, and would also eventually a group went up and banged on his door. All of that was easily foreseeable as a result of having the gathering outside his house. You could have, if you wanted to have a gathering to discuss the issue, to rally around the issue, you could have just as easily had it at a park 3 blocks from his house. That would have prevented the problem of people harassing the person living there, while also.
No, I'm not gonna do the devil because he's gonna say we are mobbing and stuff, you know.
What are you asking if he wants to draw something on my face?
Now you're just making stuff up, bro.
What do you think? Do you think this is a violation of the anti-doxxing law or not? The anti-doxxing law says you're not allowed to publish name and address for the purpose of causing disruption. Do you think? Okay. You're absolutely right.
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Talk soon. So you're just doing this with your own time, like, oh, I gotta save this guy's rights, or he pays you, or who pays you? That's what I want to know.
I wanted to know what people would say to the question of why it's not a violation of the anti-doxxing law.
You do this for a living.
Well, the GoPro is in case somebody accuses me of doing something illegal, then I can prove that I didn't.
Yeah, that's what he does. He's living rent-free on his
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think it's a violation of the anti-doxxing law or not? Well, she doesn't want to talk either.
Because you're repeating yourself and you don't make sense. So who wants to talk to you?
I will stop repeating if somebody tells me why they think it's not a violation of the anti. Look, even if you said, well, he's renting, he doesn't own the place,
So
I don't think that's a good answer, but at least that's a response.
You accuse everybody for being a mob. Do you think we are a mob?
Nobody individually is a mob. Collectively, a group is a mob.
What is a
It's
mob?
a silly conversation.
Mob? He said we are like a mafia. Yeah.
I still have sunscreen if anybody wants some.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put it.
Yes. Well, look, I mean, this kind of situation is going to come up a lot, where you're part of a group. You're part of a group that all rallies around a particular opinion, and one person speaks out and points out that the group opinion is obviously wrong, and a little bit of doubt is lodged in your head because you realize the group probably is wrong. Because one day this situation is going to be resolved, but you're still going to encounter situations where there's a group that rallies around an opinion, but you realize the opinion is wrong, and you're in a situation you have to decide if you want to speak out or not. At this point, I mean, you speak fluent English. At this point, you probably understand that this event violated the law against publishing a name and address in order to cause substantial life disruption or mental anguish. So, yep, this is a printout of the actual law.
Okay, so,
And my point is that people keep talking about he's breaking the law, but publishing somebody's address in order to incite a gathering is also breaking the law. And that it's hypocritical for people to care about one part of the law, but they don't seem to care about...
because when people ask nicely, he doesn't do it.
I know, but there's not an exception to the anti-doxxing law because people asked nicely and it didn't work. I mean, most of the time there's a gathering outside somebody's house. Usually that is preceded by somebody asking nicely and not getting what they want. But there's not an exception to the anti-doxxing law because that part doesn't work. I mean, that part is always true. People always try the lower conflict way first. Yeah, I'm sure he tried. But I just want to know why people think this is not a violation of the anti-doxxing law.
So you got your point?
Not really. I want to know what people think. I want to know if anybody here has a good answer to that question. I don't think people are not breaking the law by being here.
Well, you just said we are a mob.
Well,
so
some of the people broke the law by going up
mob.
and knocking on his door, and the person who left the sign on his yard, they broke the law. The person who attacked me and grabbed my phone, he broke the law. But generally, the people gathering here on the sidewalk are not breaking the law. The law violation is publishing the address in order to get people to come here.
I'm a mob member, as well as this kid.
Yeah, it's in my pocket. Somebody tried to take it away from me, but I had the GoPro recording, so even if they grab the phone, that's one of the reasons I have the GoPro, is that if somebody grabs the phone away...
For a job.
No, 90% of the footage never sees the light of day, because I only record things in order to prove that I didn't do anything wrong if somebody comes up and calls the police and accuses me of doing something. And that's happened multiple times, and I showed the police or the judge the footage of what really happened, and they were like, you're right, the person lied,
So
you didn't do
enough
anything.
time to do
And that
this.
was the end of that. You're talking to me about having time? You're all here.
I live there. Okay.
At least I'm only wasting... Well, okay.
Okay, don't talk to me
It's a
about...
10-minute drive versus a 5-minute walk, but it's the hour we burned here that is the most significant time factor.
Yeah, I'm talking to a jam.
You have sunscreen on? You safe? You want some? Just put your hand out.
Thank you.
Yeah. Safety.
People are like, "Idiot ke ganda bana yaar, life is good." Kory Hahn wale bana ke ganda bana
We gotta be really quick at ripping the pages like when it comes off the printer.
Well,
Or else you're gonna just have a huge...
let me ask you guys, you're law enforcement, and I'm not saying to go in and arrest the person, but not him, but can you give me a reason why you think that the publication of this person's address didn't violate the anti-doxxing law? It says you're not allowed to publish a person's name or address for the purpose of causing mental anguish or substantial life disruption. And my position is this was obviously intended to cause a disruption. He published the address for the purpose of having a gathering in front of his house. And if they wanted to have a political rally with the King County Republican chair here and everything, there's no logistical reason they couldn't have done that at a park 3 blocks away. In fact, it would have been safer because it's easier to have a crowd in the park rather than trying to fit it on the sidewalk and spilling into the road. And so,
if you're so concerned about safety, then why are you always at protests and rallies that block traffic in the streets?
Seattle Municipal Code 12.12.015.4 says you can have a political protest in the street even if you don't have a permit.
You just cited safety.
It doesn't apply. Okay, for safety reasons, we also have a row of cars in front of and behind the protesters at all times so that a hostile driver can't drive into the crowd. That's a legitimate question. Is it safe? And oh, I'm getting the.
Stay hydrated.
Oh wait, do we know each other on Twitch? Oh shoot, there's people here that probably heard of me. I didn't even think of that. Anyway, I mean, given that you are generally allowed to make arrests for violation of RCW 4.24.792, is there any reason why you think that this event is not a violation of that, or that the publication of the address was not a violation of that law? It's not violating the law for people to be here. I'm here, obviously, but I mean, is there any reason that you think that that's not a violation of that law?
We'll refer you to our supervisor over there. You can talk to our supervisor over there.
Which one is he? The taller one?
On the shirt.
The what?
With the stripes on his shirt.
Okay.
The sergeant.
I mean, as a general rule, you usually arrest people without checking with your sergeant first, right? If you saw somebody committing an RCW violation, you would not check with the sergeant. You would apply it as written.
Is he under mental anguish right now?
I think the substantial life disruption.
You're assuming.
I think that substantial life disruption is reason. I think if you have probable cause, there would be a trial to determine if it was strictly literally true, but I think you have probable cause to think that the event is causing either mental anguish or substantial life disruption. But you have probable cause to believe this is causing substantial life disruption.
I'm explaining to you why, and you want to argue with me my reasons, that's fine. But I'm explaining to you why.
Okay.
Right? You're assuming things. You're just reading off of a paper.
That's
fine.
It's a printout of the law, yes.
But there's more to that, right? We got to actually be able to prove the elements of that.
Okay.
Which we're not, because
well, my position is that proving it would require a trial. But if you think that if you have reasonable grounds to think that that's probably the case, that's probable cause to make an arrest. The trial would be to determine finally whether it was actually violated, whether it caused a life disruption or mental anguish.
Okay.
But that's not the threshold for making an arrest. That's the threshold for making a conviction.
Need some water, buddy? You must be tired. Want some water? There's water right there.
Is the cap still on it?
No, yeah, with cap, nothing in it, sir.
We're not gonna poison you. We don't play that dirty.
We respect humans, man. Humans.
Oh, why not? It'll just get thrown away otherwise. Oh, I need caffeine.
Whatever you need.
Correct.
Oh, why not?
Wow.
Why not?
I'm a commercial realtor, but I've only...
All right, sister, I'm taking off. I'll see you later. Thanks for doing this. We'll talk to you this week again. I'll look at those papers and talk to you on Monday.
Did you pick the one with the cap on?
Fuck. Shoot. Thought it tasted funny. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's watching. He could be.
नौकरी है अभी नौकरी है बिजनेस है अगले दिन गाहक आवे तो 10 चीज जाके तोड़ दो मेरा 10 साल हो गया जरा घटानी है मगर नहीं घटा हर बार जोर लगती
housing justice project sent you?
I'm not really here about the landlord-tenant issue. I mean, honestly, you know, I might be somebody renting at a house someday. I think there are good arguments on both directions. My issue is that this is violating the anti-doxxing law.
What personal interest you have in this? It's a nice sunny day. People go on hikes and enjoy the thing. Why are you standing
You're asking me that? I mean, there's 100 people that spent there. At least I only wasted one person's time.
Thing on the other side?
You may be like
anti-squatter now?
Am I squatting? No, I paid the rent for this goddamn 2 square foot piece of concrete. Bellevue probably run me $900 a month.
So you are just too much free time on your own. You don't do anything.
Again, I don't think you asked that of the other 100 people that were here.
Yeah, they do a lot more than you. I can bet you that.
I do other things too when I'm not here, but I think this is a legitimate issue of public interest that a organizer of a rally published somebody's address to get people to come here.
Are you a landlord?
It doesn't matter.
Do you know what it takes to be a landlord?
It doesn't matter. The landlord-tenant dispute is a separate issue, and I'm saying that there's no exception to
their hard-earned money.
There's no exception to the anti-doxxing law. I mean, what if he'd killed the guy? Would you have said? Would you have said, "Oh, he's a landlord. You've never been a landlord before"? He's like, "Who gave this fucker the water bottle?" He didn't earn.
I have decent human rights, you know.
Well, I think this is a legitimate. Like you all got so distracted by the fact that this escalated so far. You're ignoring the fact that this is a legitimate question. The law says you're not allowed to publish name and address for the purpose of causing substantial life disruption or mental anguish. Okay, tell me why that is not. Tell me why that's not a violation of the anti-doxxing law.
You should have put a bigger name on that picture. We forgot that.
We should put Bennett on there.
Oh. Well, you have a Sharpie somewhere. I saw you put it in your pocket.
We forgot to do that.
There's lots of, there's lots of pictures on Google Images. Hey. Well, so does anybody believe that this is not a violation of the anti-doxxing law? The way the anti-doxxing law is written. So just like, show of hands, does anybody think that I'm wrong about this? That this is not a violation of the anti-doxxing law?
परमिशन नहीं होगी भाई कोर्ट से
How does this even work?
ये उन्होंने इधर खड़े रहने की
ਐਵੇਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਹੋਮਲੈਸ ਨੂੰ ਕੱਢਣ ਦੇ ਹੋਣਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਗੰਦੀ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਜੱਤ ਪਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੋਣਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੋਣਾ ਅਗਲੇ ਯੂ ਦੇਖਣ ਦੇ ਯਾਰ ਆਉਣਾ ਖੜੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਪਿੱਛੋਂ ਦਾ ਯੂ ਗਾਇਸ ਟੂ ਬੀ ਵੈਰੀ ਬਿਜ਼ੀ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਚਲੋ ਲੱਗੇ ਕੱਟਾ ਹੋ
1044
You guys, let's cross the street. Let's come on over.
Like stickers? Take care.
Okay, let's get out of here. All right.
Hi. Operator Watanabe told me to ask you this because he said he's a supervisor. My question is, why do people not think that this is in fact a violation of the Washington anti-doxxing law? And that was the thing I was asking the individual.
You're speaking a little too fast for me.
Okay.
Why do people not think what?
Why does the police not think that the calling of this event is not a violation of the Washington anti-doxxing law?
Doxing law?
Doxing meaning,
Yeah, I know doxing.
Okay, it says that you're not allowed to publish a person's name or address for the purpose of causing, or if it causes mental anguish or substantial life disruption. Seems obvious that calling a rally in front of where somebody's residence was obviously intended to do that. If they wanted to have a political gathering to discuss the issue, there's no reason they couldn't have had it. They could have just as easily had it at a park 3 blocks away from the person's house. That wouldn't have given away the person's address, and it wouldn't have led to the situations which did occur, which is that people were yelling at him from the sidewalk. They trespassed to plant that sign up on his bushes before it was removed, and then, as you probably heard, a group of people went up and banged on his door before the police made them leave.
So we're happy to take a complaint from him if he wants to contact us. That's up to him.
But
we're not making any judgments. It's up to him. If he wants to be a victim of it, we'll certainly entertain that and take a report. But it's up to him. So there's no been decision made by law enforcement today at all.
I understand, but the question is why? I mean, generally you are empowered to enforce violations of the RCW if you see them happening.
We are, but we also have discretion to enforce those violations.
Okay.
And we're using discretion not to keep the peace.
Okay.
Now, certainly circumstances can change where we will take enforcement action, but as right now it's been peaceful.
Okay.
He has not advocated for us to contact him or be a victim of anything, so we're going to continue to do what we do right now to maintain the peace.
But I don't believe that the gathering itself was a violation of the law. It's not illegal for people to be here. I mean, I'm here after all. Jonathan Choe. I'm talking about the disseminating of the information.
And like I said, if he wants us to take enforcement action or he wants to be a victim, we'll certainly entertain that, but he has not made that request.
But I mean, are you not empowered to enforce that even if the person who is directly infected doesn't want it?
We are, but we have discretion as well.
Okay.
And right now we've decided to use the discretion not to take any action to maintain the peace.
Okay.
That's the discretion we have, and we've decided to use that discretion.
Okay.
Okay.
Because they were threatening to arrest me if I went up to move the sign off of the hedge and back out onto the sidewalk. Well,
like I said, right now we're using discretion not to take any enforcement action. Okay, that can change based on circumstances.
Okay.
Right now we have everybody's calm, everybody's doing what they want to do in a peaceful manner, and we're going to respect that. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I mean, it does seem like an odd explanation because, I mean, if one person breaks the law but they're surrounded by people who are being peaceful, that doesn't give you a pass to break the law. You can't say, well, I'm here surrounded with my group of peaceful friends. If you arrest me, there's going to be a problem.
That is a correct
You can't surround yourself with peaceful people just to get a pass.
You're correct.
I'm glad they're being peaceful, but it's not a it's not a cloak of invisibility.
You're right. You're
okay.
Correct. I agree with your assessment. It's not a cloak of invisibility. It doesn't mean that you can act out just because others are not.
Okay. Well, I mean, you know, he is undoubtedly, I don't know how to contact him. He is undoubtedly going to find out at some point about the exchange that happened outside. I mean, I don't know if it has occurred to him that to look into enforcement of the anti-doxxing. Oh, he's contacted you about his address being published?
He has the option to contact us, and he has the option to follow through with any civil or criminal actions that he thinks have been taken against him.
Okay.
Do you have a copy of the petition?
Do you know that the person who put that sign there owns that house? The one across the street with Landlord Lives Matter, real classy. I mean, they might. I don't know for sure that they don't.
I make my coffee outside.
The offices are very, very nice.
Oh, that park right on the corner. They just renamed it.
For real, thank you for the water, though. I was thirsty. Oh, seriously, does anybody know why this one? Don't people get evicted all the time? Like, why is, you know, people get eviction proceedings and they refuse to leave every single day? Why was there a rally for this one? Did anybody have any idea?
So if you get cancer, only you go for chemotherapy, not the other person.
If I what?
If you get cancer, only you will go for chemotherapy, right? Not the other person.
I spend so much time online, I thought you said canceled. Okay, cancer, I got you. But there's still, but it's the same question. There's still people who are online. I mean, there's still people who are forced to be evicted.
Sir, these ladies don't want to talk to you. I don't think any lady wants to talk to you. You can just
Oh,
go home,
burn! Damn. Well, She just did.
Yeah, hit the fire station on 148.
Yes. Yeah, we did a flippy phase, we did pop control. Right now they're in the hockey phase. There's always. But that's great. We were actually looking. They're getting to the age now where
Twitter needs me. I'll see you at the next one.
Yeah.
See you at the next squatter incident. I live at, after today's event, I don't think it's a good idea to tell everyone where I live. My concern was strictly limited to asking people the question I was asking, which was I sincerely wanted to know if people thought, why people thought this was not a violation of the anti-doxxing law. I'm not a landlord hater. I think there is a legitimate issue of how quickly you have to be able to move when somebody's renting your property and not paying. But there's not an exception to the anti-doxxing law when you because of some other issue that's going on. And my position is people are either they believe in following the law or they don't. And if they keep invoking the law, then you can't break the law and organize a mob outside somebody's house.
But in my own opinion, I think the law has some loopholes or something that's because do you really think it's right if these guys could lose their house because somebody doesn't want to pay them? Is that right?
I don't think that's right, but the question is, that doesn't create an exception to the anti-doxxing law. The better approach would be to somehow, figure out a way to, anything you can do to work through the backlog of eviction cases. Maybe prioritize the ones where the people are the furthest behind, or prioritize the ones where there's the most danger to the landlord being catastrophically harmed if the person doesn't pay. You could simply say, well, there's a backlog of eviction cases. Let's move the ones to the front of the line where the person is at risk of being bankrupted if the tenant doesn't move out. That would have been fine. But you can't organize a mob in front of the house where the guy's living. And there's no exception to the anti-doxxing law just because you're the property owner and the guy's renting from you.
Well, and so what about attorneys for the squatter that keep going in and getting a continuance to just drag it out and out?
It's a separate issue. I'm saying that I didn't want to get into the issue of the actual landlord-tenant dispute with anybody. And like I said, I can see both sides of that. I'm just saying that you can't dox somebody because of that, what's going on.
I don't know what that law is. What is the law?
The law that says you're not allowed to, and this is the one that I brought because that was the issue I wanted to ask people about. You're not allowed to publish name or address for the purpose of causing mental anguish or substantial life disruption. I think publishing the guy's address to have a gathering outside his house qualifies as a life disruption. And that was obviously the intent. And it's also the case that they could have achieved the same thing if you want to have a rally around the actual issue. You could have planned it at a park that was 3 blocks away from the guy's house. Now you're not giving the person's address away, but by having it here, the organizer could have reasonably foreseen what happened, which was that some people trespassed to put a sign on the lawn, some people were yelling at him from the sidewalk, and a couple of people went up to bang on the door, although at that point the police did go in and escort those people off the property. But those are all things that wouldn't have happened if he hadn't published the guy's address, if he had just said we're going to have a rally at a park in order to discuss this issue and maybe how to propose fixes, not just so it doesn't happen to me, but maybe so that it doesn't happen to other people. I've considered renting out parts of my house. My number one fear is getting a nightmare tenant that I can't get rid of. It's not even that I'm worried that they won't pay, it's that I'm worried that I can't get rid of them. So I don't have, what if they get pregnant or something, and now I have what used to be a quiet person is now somebody who has a screaming baby keeping me up all night. And I mean, the law is actually on their side there. I don't think you can evict somebody because they have a baby, but that's one more reason that I would be reluctant to rent a room out, because I agree with the tenant protections, but that means I can't get trapped in that space. Those are all legitimate issues. But you can't have a mob gather outside somebody's house to have a discussion of that. It could have been at the park. They could have rented a room at the library. And I think that just changed the nature of the event very much, that they focused it on putting it on the sidewalk in front of this guy's house, where they should have known that people were going to harass him. They knew that people were going to break the law if they did that. And they were probably breaking the law by organizing it that way in the first place. And so I started asking people. I prioritized the people that I wanted answers from the most, like the King County Republican Party chair, because I knew I could only get away with it 2 or 3 times, and then people would, there'd be people getting on my case and stopping me. But I think it is. I think it's important that the chair of the Republican Party, I showed him a law that I said I think this is illegal, and he didn't seem to care. I mean, I wasn't shocked, but I think that matters. But that's why I was here. I never wanted to start a fight with anybody, but I always record everything in case somebody lies and says that I started a fight. It's still on, by the way. Okay. All right, but I didn't eat breakfast, so I gotta bounce. Be safe.
Very insane thoughts that are not very defendable in a debate or an open forum, and they then